Welcome to the Players Ball Podcast, where we cover all sports far and wide. I'm your host, Roddy. Go ahead and give us a follow at the Players Ball One right here on Twitter, at the Players Ball Podcast on Instagram, and then go ahead and give me a follow on both platforms at Roddy404. We're back with a preview of the weekend ahead, also a review of the weekend past. We'll have our continuation of the NFL previews, division previews coming up on Thursday for you. But there was a lot of things that went down this weekend, so I wanted to go over some of the things by myself that happened this week. And I want to start with probably the biggest trade in the NFL in the last couple of months. Trey Lance, he is now a Dallas Cowboy. They traded him to the Cowboys for a 7th-round pick. And especially this late in training camp, the season about to start in a week, it's very interesting that the Cowboys decided not only to go get a quarterback, but to go get this specific quarterback, and to go get a quarterback who the San Francisco 49ers obviously traded 3 first-round picks for. Now, a lot of people, not Niners fans, but a lot of other people who are trying to be a little bit more objective about it, are really kind of baffled at how the Niners have fumbled the situation and how Trey basically didn't get the best opportunity people felt to win the job. Obviously, he got hurt in game 2 last year of the season, so it wasn't like he was, able to put a lot of film on tape or anything like that. And it's interesting to see the Niners fans kind of stick up for the trade, saying, well, he's a third-string quarterback. He's a third-string quarterback. But, a year ago, they were saying that he was a starting-level quarterback and he was the future of the 49ers franchise. Even, before he got traded, they were saying that, this is the guy that's going to lead us forward. Understand that Brock Purdy, exceeded expectations greatly. You didn't lose when you had him behind, the wheel at quarterback, except for when, obviously he got injured in that NFC Championship game. But he is Mr. Irrelevant for the reason, all right? We're college football fans around here, so we've seen Brock Purdy's work, okay? Now, if he's a guy that, can develop under Kyle Shanahan and grow into his system and be able to run it efficiently, then I'll shut up and I'll eat my crow. But I'm still not totally convinced of that. Obviously, teams have more tape of him this year, so it's going to be a little bit more difficult in order for him to be that guy again. So we'll see what happens there. But, just going over and looking in hindsight, I understand, and I'm not trying to pile on the Niners fans, all right? But, the results of those 3 first-rounders was Tyreek Hill, Bradley Chubb. Michael Parsons was picked in the 12th pick that year, so they could have got him as well. Jalen Waddle also was used to trade up to get him. There were 6 current Pro Bowlers, and Pro Bowl is subjective. Could be a Pro Bowler 1 year, could be trash the rest of your career. But Pitts, Jamar, Waddle, Sewell, PS2, Fields, Devontae Smith, all guys that could have been on the San Francisco 49ers that were not because of this guy that they just traded away to Dallas. And I think it's a little bit more interesting coming from Dallas' perspective because, like I said, this is very, very late. I don't know if they have some concerns about Dak and what they've seen in the preseason or what it is, but it's a little bit concerning if I'm a Cowboys fan that the organization seems to, want some bolstering at the quarterback position, especially a guy who has a skill set that's slightly similar to Dak. I think Trey's probably a better runner. He's younger, obviously, hasn't had that catastrophic leg injury, even though he did have an ACL. I really think that this is the sign that maybe Dallas is ready to move off on Dak soon. We'll see. But I think this season is going to be critical for a lot of the structure in the Cowboys organization. And this move proves it to be so a little bit more for me. So we'll see what happens. But I think that Dallas is in a make it or break it year. I think they have a good roster. They know that as well. So hopefully they can transcend all of the questions that are being asked about them. And obviously, I have had a beef with Kyle Shanahan on this show. Anybody who watches this show knows that I respect what he's done for the game and his ability to coach the football teams that he's coached offensively and defensively a little bit. I think because he's not a defensive coordinator doesn't mean that he hasn't put great guys in position to be over his defenses. I mean, you have two of those guys be NFL head coaches. Whether you think they're good coaches or not, they were damn good defensive coordinators. So I think he does deserve a little bit of credit for putting those guys, in charge. But I do think he does rely on his ego a little bit too much. I do think he thinks he's the smartest guy in the room, and he goes after these mid quarterbacks because he wants his genius to shine through more than anything else. And I understand that structure wise, he probably lays out the best structure in the NFL, but you're not always going to have structure. And in these NFC championship games and in these Super Bowls, sometimes you're going to have to ask a guy to win outside of structure. And the guys that he selects and the guys that he has interest in are not those guys. So I can understand that he has almost won a Super Bowl a couple times. But again, you got to get that guy who can operate out of structure. I personally felt like that was Trey Lance, and I don't felt like he was given a fair shake in the Niners organization, but I guess the Niners felt differently. So we'll see what happens. I'll be interested to see the change up in the NFC. Obviously, the Eagles are seeming like they're the strongest link, but we'll see. The NFL is crazy. I don't know what's going to happen. All right, y'all. It's time for our Why Moment of the Week, one of our new segments here on the Players Ball Podcast. This is just confusing, okay? And it's confusing on a lot of levels, all right? So APS, Atlanta Public Schools, for those who don't know, had a football game over the weekend between Douglas County and Benjamin E. Mays High Schools. And this happened, okay? This is insane, all right? Now, you obviously see that coach who is a lay coach, and for those who don't know, a lay coach is a coach that doesn't actually work at the school. He's virtually a volunteer that's coming in and working with the kids and being a football coach. The lay coach punches this kid in the stomach. Now, he was shortly after taken off of the field and taken out of the game in handcuffs. He was arrested for battery. I don't understand, one, how you can be a coach, a leader of men, a person who claims that they are helping the community and you punching the kids. Like, that's the craziest thing I've ever seen. Not only the fact that he punched the kid, but in general, the fact that it was 95 degrees on Saturday when they played that football game at I think it was at 1 p.m. I was very confused to see why they would subject the kids to going out there and playing in that type of heat. But to play in that type of heat and to get punched in the stomach when you miss a play or you miss a read, that's a little bit insane, man. Like, I'm not gonna lie. APS has responded to this. Obviously, the coach will never coach in APS or at any level for that matter again. He's gone unnamed, but I cannot fathom seeing my kid get punched on the field and staying in the stands. I can't. It's just wild to me what these, again, leaders of men who are real sticklers usually of people who can't control their emotions, losing their emotions on the sideline. So that's our why moment of the week. Benjamin E. Mays, assistant coach, whatever your name is, why? All right, topic number 2 is Luis Rubiales. Luis Rubiales is the president of the Spanish Soccer Federation. He was caught on camera after the presentation of the FIFA Women's World Cup trophy, basically sexually assaulting one of the star players of the team. This probably is one of the most controversial and polarizing topics in sports right now. If you didn't see, obviously, like I just said, the Spanish women did win the Women's World Cup this year. And Rubiales was thanking Jenny Hermoso, who is one of the players, star players on the Spanish national team, basically kissed her on the lips in the middle of handing her gold medal for winning the tournament. Now, uh, FIFA had to come in and be the good guys in the situation. I want to say that sentence again. FIFA had to come in and be the good guys in this situation and suspend Rubiales for 90 days to conduct an investigation on the conduct of that night. Now, Jenny Hermoso has consistently said that she did not consent to this behavior. She did not want to kiss this man, but the Spanish Federation is saying basically that she's lying and is saying that he was totally justified in kissing her in the mouth in front of the whole world. Now, Spain's players vowed not to play again until he resigned. They were literally willing to sit out the next couple of friendlies. A lot of matches come up when you're the World Cup champion. So they plan to basically sit out all of those matches and not report to their international duties in order to protest this. They came to the championship celebration, Rubiales, and doubled down on the fact that he was righteous and he's not going to step down because he did nothing wrong. And this is just one of the things, one major thing, of course, that has been a problem with the Spanish Federation. They hired a coach that the players widely didn't like at the beginning of this World Cup cycle. They came in, decided to, grit their teeth and bear it and just go ahead and play under this guy who they already didn't like. And the Spanish Federation backed him, by the way. And they had multiple other problems with this coach, including the fact that there was insufficient prep for matches. They were arriving to host cities late. They were just not being treated like professionals at all. And the Federation even threatened legal action against Hermoso. Like, that's how far they're going to just be totally ignorant and disgusting in the situation. Now, Rubiales is also the vice president of UEFA, that is Europe's soccer federation. He basically is keeping his job. UEFA has said nothing about this, even though there are people in the Spanish Federation who are resigning because Rubiales is not resigning himself. There are people within the Spanish Federation, former players and current players, that are speaking out. Cadiz and Sevilla over the weekend had a protest about this as well. So there's a lot of people who see the issue with this. And the only people who don't seem to see it is the Spanish Federation, which is the most dangerous part because they have the most power. They are supposed to be the righteous party in this situation, and they've continuously showed that they can't be. So Rubiales, like I said, was suspended for 90 days due to a FIFA investigation. We'll see what happens. Ridiculous things are happening, like his mother has locked herself inside a church in Spain and is going on a hunger strike until this witch hunt for her son is over. I mean, there's just so many levels of insanity to this story that I can't even begin to just wrap my head around what's going on with this. So this is something that we'll definitely be keeping an eye on. We'll definitely update it on the show as it comes because, again, I can't remember a story in sports where we literally saw it on national television that this man kissed her. She looked uncomfortable. She said she was uncomfortable, and yet and still we're here saying that this guy deserves to keep his jobs not only in the Spanish Federation but at UEFA as well. So the fact that UEFA hasn't said anything, I think, is damning on their part as well. But what can we expect from these organizations that, quite frankly, can't even handle racism correctly? If we remember Vinicius Jr. and everything that he had to go through last season with the monkey chants and the racist epithets that was thrown at him, it's not a surprise these are the people in charge. All right, let's get into our weekend wrap up before we get to our last topic on the big three. And it's right back to Messi watch. first of all, seeing this pass right here is just insane. And then just an easy tap in. Have no idea what these defenders are doing. Uh, Messi is just Messi, man. Like, you really just can't deny his greatness. The defenders genuinely look like they are afraid to touch him. They're afraid to get physical with him just because of the repercussions that they know are coming. And just the impact that this guy has had on American soccer culture, again, has been tremendous. They're selling a lot of merchandise out there into Miami. They're considering doing their final in Hard Rock Stadium coming up soon. So we'll see if Miami continues to latch on to this, if the world continues to latch on to this, because I just saw French Montana and Sway Lee in the stands watching Messi and being geeked over the fact that he's making it look this easy. And that's exactly what this sport needs. Coming up in 2026 is the World Cup hosted here in North America. So we need as many fans as we can. We need everybody to see the importance of this event. Even if Messi doesn't play in it, there's still so many good players around the world, so many good players that deserve the spotlight. So hopefully this grows the sport in this country in a great way. And now let's go to public enemy number one of the weekend. Noah Lyles. Noah, take it away.
World champion of what? The United States? You know, the thing that hurts me the most is that I have to watch the NBA Finals and they have world champion on their head. World champion of what? The United States? Don't get me wrong. I love the U.S. at times. But that ain't the world. That is.
Now, I'm like all of y'all who probably just watched that for the first time or may have seen it before. I wanted to respond this way.
I didn't hear you, man. Talk about the NBA again. I dare you. I double dare.
Okay, I wanted to respond this way, all right? But I cooled off. I tried to see what perspective he was trying to have, and I kind of understood it, okay? Us in America, we are very, we have tunnel vision, okay? We think that we are the best at everything, even though we might be in this case in the NBA, okay? We might be, but we're very tunnel vision oriented. We think that we run the world, and we don't see these guys like these Olympians who train and, you know, represent our country, which is bigger than Denver Nuggets or Milwaukee Bucks, right? I understand what it means to be a world champion and understand what it is to represent your country in that way. It's totally understandable. And I think that was what he was trying to say. But he just said it the wrong way. And he did come off as a hater, okay? Timing with messaging is very, very important, ladies and gentlemen, okay? You have to know when to say the right things, okay? And Noah, unfortunately, I think he got caught up in one of those excerpts that's just going to stick with him for the rest of his life, all right? I don't think he had to call out the NBA. I don't know if he has beef with the NBA or if he don't like watching the NBA, whatever it is. I think timing and tone is very, very important when it comes to criticism. But I'm not going to kill him again. I do understand what he was kind of trying to get at. Sort of. Maybe. All right, y'all. And then our last topic of the day is Ryan Jensen. He is apparently done for his career, which is being reported, which is very, very scary. He tore 3 ligaments in training camp last year in his knee. He used an alternative treatment, stem cell treatments from the umbilical cords of babies from C-sections to repair his knee, going from the traditional route and taking a surgery, which in a sense I can understand. A lot of players don't like surgeries because of complications and different things like that. Taking a more, I guess, holistic approach was more comfortable for him. But I was really kind of surprised if you're tearing 3 ligaments in your knee. It's a little strange to me that you're not doing the traditional thing and getting a surgery, especially a guy that big. I mean, he's a center in the NFL. He's not small whatsoever. But this kind of goes along with the strangeness of the reporting of his injury, the outright just, covering up in some situations of what he was going through. The Bucks really never specified the injury. They cited it was swelling, but never really specified what was happening, even though he missed the majority of the season last season. They never said that he opted for this non-traditional approach. So a lot of people are speculating that someone or some people in the Bucks organization were vying for him to return when he wasn't healthy, which it's NFL culture. Unfortunately, that's what they do. There are a lot of players that are just told, you can play, so play. And a lot of these teammates are people who are pressuring these guys as well because they feel like they're out there, basically giving their lives for the cause. And they feel like if you're healthy enough to be out there with them, that you should be. But this is just the NFL culture, like I said. This obviously has come up a little bit more in the past due to concussions. The DeMar Hamlin situation is also something that is shocking to me. I personally was really surprised to see Jimmy Graham on the football field pretty much a couple of days after apparently having a seizure reportedly by the Saints, which just totally went kind of quietly away as he caught a couple of touchdown passes in the preseason on Sunday night. So the NFL's culture of just saying suck it up and move on and play through it is dangerous for the league. It's dangerous for the health of its players, and it's not really out of the ordinary. And that's really the issue. It's something that has continuously gone on and something that will continuously go on because of the nature and the violence of the sport. Just simply and plainly what it is. So I'll be interested to see if more of these players who have knee injuries or more serious injuries are still going to go with these alternative, more, I guess, holistic routes of trying to repair themselves and get back on the field in shorter time increments. But if I was you as a player, I would want to walk when I end my career. But some guys want to go for the gusto. Can't help it. But thank y'all again for watching. Please follow us at the Players Ball 1, watching or listening, either one. We're on Apple Podcasts now. We're on Spotify Podcasts as well. So please go and get that at the Players Ball 1 on Twitter, at the Players Ball Podcast on Instagram, and then go ahead and give me a follow at Roddy404 on both platforms. Like I said, we will be back with our division previews on Thursday. We'll keep it a secret for now. But until then, we'll holla at y'all later, man. Peace.